Let's get to hoops. Brian Geisinger joins us on Mondays to talk about the weekend's festivities. Let's start in at Lenovo Center, where Carolina came away with a narrow win over NC State. We call this the Jalen Washington game, right? If that Jalen Washington is there for the rest of the season, Tar Heels are a different animal, no?
I think so. I mean, ideally, you'd probably like to do a little bit better on the defensive glass. I mean, State still got, 16 offensive rebounds in this game. 37% of its misses. But, yeah, Washington was awesome, and his signature is probably warranted for the game. I mean, he may very well have saved it with that block on Jalen Taylor's drive at the end of the game. And obviously had the game-winning bucket, on the possession before that with Cadeau making a nice pass to him for the finish at the rim, and thought he was solid all game. He also he was the guy that assisted the Ian Jackson corner three with about 2 minutes to play, that after Marcus Hill had put State up 59-58, UNC comes down, pick and roll with Cadeau. And then he hits Jalen Washington on the short roll. Washington hits the kick-out pass to Jackson, who's open in the right corner for a three. So I think Jackson's shot making, hit all the spot-up threes he hit in this game were huge. But Washington really impactful at that 5 spot is huge because UNC has so much talent 1 through 4 on this roster, including a pretty unbelievable backcourt just in terms of shot making and passing talent, and obviously Drake Powell at the the hybrid wing position is a super talent too. So when he gives them that kind of impact, it's really big time. I mean, I've liked Washington since he got to Chapel Hill, and sort of was expecting him to play at a level like this for most of this season. So maybe it's the start of things to come. But either way, UNC still needs to be better on the defensive glass, and a lot of that's coming with Jalen on the floor too.
Yeah, and and they're relatively small, right? So it's hard to be great on the defensive glass when they're as small as they are. Seth Trimble being out of the lineup some, and who knows, for how much he's going to stay healthy, all of that, because he plays in a rugged style, right? He kind of leaves himself open to getting banged around a little bit. So, but Washington does at least give them a chance. Now, and I know NC State did well on the offensive glass. Carolina has not been a good rebounding team on either end. Certainly not what they're used to. But so how much of Washington's, we'll just use the term emergence, was about State, or how much was Jalen Washington?
I think it's a little bit of both. I thought he made some really nice plays, in the rhythm of UNC's offense, and he's in a good setup for him to do well, right? I mean, he gets to UNC can really space the floor with Jackson and Davis when they're running pick and roll with Cadeau, who's a good driver and can really pass. And so, Washington should be able to do some damage, whether he's diving to the rim or on the short roll, or
right.
He's experimented with the pick and pop. He has not hit a 3 yet this season, but part of the intrigue with Washington was that he had this stretch 5, pick and pop component to his game. I'm not sure if we're going to get it this year. He took one sort of ill-advised 3 against State, but he has he can do it. He has a high release, a nice looking shot. So maybe that's more of a next year kind of thing. I think ultimately he's set up to do pretty well here. It's just can he be strong and finish in the screen roll game, because the looks are definitely going to be there. In NC State, as they are, guarding pick and roll, they're going to hedge most ball screens with Ben Middlebrooks, or if they can, they're going to try to, ice or weak or down the ball on one side of the court. Either way, Washington's still open in the middle of the court on the short roll, and he showed that he could make some plays in space. So the reps are going to be there. He's just going to have to be ready, because there's a big opportunity for him, and he certainly raises the ceiling of this team if he can be a real plus on that side of the floor.
All right, before we flip over to the Wolfpack, I want to get into Ian Jackson a little bit, because I mean, I realize that there are people who already have Cooper Flagg fatigue, and I just have I feel sorry for them because if you can't enjoy, you get it's like it would be like having Zion Williamson fatigue because we're only going to see him in a Duke uniform for so many months. And when their season is over, we're never going to see Cooper Flagg play at Cameron Indoor Stadium again. Just like we didn't see, we only got 1 year of Zion, and even that was cut short. Like we only got 15 games of Kyrie or whatever the number was of Kyrie Irving. Those guys, when they come to college and they only stay for 1 year, and you know it, and they are special, don't get fatigue. Enjoy it because you're not. We won't watch enough when they play at the next level. They'll get lost at the next level. This is our time to see it. We'll get to that in a minute. But Ian Jackson picked the wrong year to be a freshman in this league because he is that good. He is that good, and he's got no shot unless people like me vote Flagg Player of the Year, and because I want Jackson to get something, vote him Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he's going to get – I mean, he should not be Rookie of the Year in the ACC. He should be first-team All-Freshman comfortably. He should maybe be second or third in voting in that. I mean, I think, Kaman Malawach at Duke has been really awesome too. But Jackson's got a good role on this team. And I mentioned this, I posted this online earlier this morning, but Jackson, he hits those 5 threes, took 8 attempts. He went, all Clay Thompson against State, 0 dribbles combined on those 2 3-point attempts that he had. They're all off the catch and shoot, all on that weak side corner, often playing on the backside of UNC's pick and roll game with State hedging or weakening ball screens, and he feasted off of it when they either kicked it to him or hit him on the skip pass. And yeah, his shot making is really, really tantalizing. He's, I thought as good as he was against State, that was like a B+ game for him. You know what I mean? He's got more juice with the basketball. You could see it a couple of times. He got loose in transition and hit a nice, one-on-one finish in the second half too, where he's able to cross over and get downhill. And he's a real glider, with the basketball. But right now he's basically, he's sort of in terms of ball handling opportunities, he's kind of third in the pecking order for UNC, right? It's Cadeau, Davis, drop off to Jackson, and then even then Trimble and Powell are sort of in the mix too. So, but he's just nailing his assignment, and obviously he's as hot shooting the basketball as anyone in the country is right now. And for the season, 57% on twos, 43% on threes. And he's trending up. It's really good. So I'd be curious as far as evaluating him as a prospect goes. I kind of like to see him play make a little bit more, and be a guy that got to operate with the ball in his hands just a little bit more. But the shot making is ridiculous with him, and considering the fact that he's teammates with RJ Davis, who's another kind of nutty shot maker. That's ultimately why I wasn't really selling any of my UNC stock this season, is because if those guys are on or one of them's really hot, they can just take your game plan and throw it over the top rope. So Jackson's been unbelievable, and he's certainly done a lot, I would say, for his draft stock, which is how he shot the ball. But looking forward to maybe seeing him create a little bit more as the season progresses too. Brian
Geisinger, split the action on Substack. Go get it. Let's dig into State a little bit here. I'm probably not alone. I didn't spend a lot of time on social media this weekend, but I'm sure State fans were not happy with the last possession, maybe in the last couple of possessions, but it just seems like if you're down 2, then I just don't understand why you're draining the clock. I just go with the philosophical part of this. I don't think it's a crime to tie the game and still have, 18 seconds on the clock. I don't think that's a criminal act. And then try to defend for the last 18 seconds. I don't understand what that was, and they didn't really get a good look. I mean, based on Jalen Washington kind of camping out in the lane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, State ran after the timeout. There's about 20 seconds left. They don't get into the action. Like O'Connell passes it to Hill on the left wing with about 15 seconds left. So 4.5, 5 seconds are gone. As soon after that, Hill sets a little brush screen to get Styles to the left corner. Then he pops up. State's not running the ball screen action with O'Connell and Middlebrooks until there's 11 seconds left. So 45% of the time they had the time they had left is just gone before the main ball screen action, even happens. This is a bread and butter play for State, but just given how much UNC was able to bottle them up in the pick and roll in this game, I mean, State's half court offense was not good on Saturday, and their best offense really was, Marcus Hill just sort of like taking off like a crazy guy in transition. Like that was really it. And so I just didn't like them, more than the sort of like them how much, window dressing action they had before they actually got into the thing that they wanted to do, like sort of putting that to the side. I understand why they went with the go-to play, and you trust Michael O'Connell, like he's made some of the biggest plays in the history of the program, for NC State. So, like, not a horrible idea. Middlebrooks is, like, a really good screen roll 5. But just how UNC had bottled them up and kept the ball in front and kept it out of the paint the whole game, I'm just not sure, like, what exactly you were – maybe you're looking for a pull-up for O'Connell if they're in the drop, if UNC's in drop coverage. But it just was a little – I didn't think the process was great. And ultimately, like, I was kind of hoping they'd – not like they needed to like reinvent the wheel and run some, Brad Stevens out of timeout play, but like Kevin Keats has go-to stuff that he's run in game-winning situations before. That's one that is not just, 1-5 pick and roll. Like, do you remember the game winner DJ Horn hit at Clemson last season?
Mm-hmm.
They start him in the corner. He runs off 2 staggered screens. He curls into the lane and he hits a little runner. So like a part of me was kind of hoping like, maybe you take Marcus Hill, you stash him in the right corner, so he can come off the staggered screens to his left hand and curl into the paint, try to get him downhill. And if you really wanted to run spread pick and roll, I kind of think you should have put the ball in Hill's hands too, because he's a really outstanding driver. O'Connell is a better spot up, catch and shoot guy too, so you can maybe help space the floor a little bit. Hill's a really good passer. He threw he threw like 3 or 4 really, nice passes in the UNC game. And I don't know. I didn't think the process was great. It's easy to sort of like, nitpick these things, but it was, I just thought there were a few different things they could have done that weren't, necessarily like outside of the box, but would have just given UNC a look it hadn't really seen yet in the game. And I also, I think Hill would have been a nice guy to have targeted. But I can also understand why State went with one of its probably one of the 5 most run plays that it's used this season too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a go-to for them. So that's what they decided to go with instead of sort of like cracking into motion. I thought maybe you could even look to post Middlebrooks up. And then if UNC was doubling a post with Drake Powell, I mean, maybe they send another double team. Maybe they stay home. But if they send a double team, maybe Middlebrooks can pass to Styles or one of the other guys for a cut finish. I just thought getting like a little bit more movement, random movement or design movement would have been like a real asset for them in that situation.
All right, let me ask you one question about the Blue Devils. Cooper Flagg only had 42. Freshman record in the ACC. Obviously, a freshman record at Duke. There've been some good freshmen there. How do you evaluate a game like this, or do you just go, man, Cooper Flagg was a machine, and kind of ignore the fact that Notre Dame shot the eyes out of the basket. Mm-hmm. Duke had some late turnovers and all that. I mean, it was an 18-point game, 18-point lead with 6 minutes to play. The final score a lot closer than the game, but how do you evaluate that game?
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's a good team. Like they are. Like Shrewsbury's a very good coach. It's the top 50 offense in the country. If you watch Notre Dame play, now that Marcus Burton's back, you know that they're a real challenge. Like they're a problem on that side of the court. They've got Braden Shrewsbury's an incredible shooter. Burton is like one of the fastest guys with the ball in the country.
Right.
He got downhill and did damage in this game. And Tay Davis is like a matchup problem in the front court room But just like if you go back and watch that game from the start, it's real interesting to see what Notre Dame did. Like they started the game with Davis at the 4 on Kamon Malawach and Njai, their 5 on Cooper Flagg. And Duke just goes right to work with Flagg as a screener. And he gets into the short roll game because when Notre Dame is guarding ball screens with its center, they're going to hedge and put 2 on the ball. So Flagg gets going like that. But then when they want to, later in the game, go after Marcus Burton in the switch, they can run pick and roll with Cooper Flagg, and they brought Sion James in as a screener for him.
Right.
Cooper Flagg gets the switch and scores. When Notre Dame puts Marcus Burton on Tyrese Proctor, all right, Tyrese Proctor, now he's coming up to the dance, and he's going to be the one that sets the screen for Cooper Flagg, and then Burton ends up fouling Flagg, and that was what led to the double technicals right after that with Burton and Malawach. But I guess I bring up those examples just to sort of speak to like Flagg's versatility. Like, what do you need? I mean, this is a guy that's doing like Apex Creator, like bring me your weakest defender, bring him into the middle of the floor, bring him to me, and I'm going to get a switch and destroy him. Or okay, you spent the last 4 days, crafting up this adjustment defensively to throw at us at the start of the game. Well, guess what? In the span of 12 minutes, I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to make it untenable, and all of a sudden Notre Dame has to go small with Davis at the 5, and they really try to like switch everything defensively and then space the floor 5 out offensively. So I thought Cooper Flagg, it just spoke to the full set of skills he has. He drew a ton of fouls. I don't think any of them, or maybe 1 or 2, none of them were real cheapies. He's hitting threes off of movement. He got, he spotted up into a couple early corner threes in that left corner. Not against Notre Dame, but against Pitt and SMU. They were really getting Flagg coming off ball screens and having him, look for his 3 or curl into the paint. If you can look at this guy and not see like potential, future star in the NBA, I'd be curious to know sort of like your justification for that, because he has a really sick set of skills and tools, and he's got the right mindset. And Duke also has like the system around him, you know what I mean, that can really sort of like maximize it. And Shrewsbury actually talked about that after the game. Like part of what Duke has, part of like the success of Flagg this season is Duke has the tools to really amplify him.
Let me ask you one quick question about Flagg, and then we have to say goodbye. There's no comparison as a phenomenon to Zion, right? Nobody is trying to do that.
Yeah.
But would it be fair to say that Flagg is a better basketball player?
I mean, it's like, in terms of, just because, like, I would say, like, defensively, I don't think Cooper's defense has been unbelievable guarding the ball, and I think he can even sort of overhelp defensively too. But his playmaking on that side of the floor, I think it makes him like a more like complete two-way guy. And also just like given his position too, like, his a little bit more positional versatility, probably helps him out in that case. But like, Zion was ridiculous.
He was.
I don't want to forget that.
Right.
Because it was insane how good he was. And like when he's at full hum and healthy in the NBA, it's just as unstoppable.
Yeah.
His skill set is unbelievable when he's right. But Flagg with that size, he's maybe a more like complete prospect, but I would just say like Zion would be a guy that would maybe at this stage would have had like higher upside, because you're just thinking like, what could this guy be? He's actually unguardable, when he's right. And Flagg, as good as he is, like, he's not
right.
He's not that offensively.
Gotcha. I understand. Brian Geisinger, split the action on Substack, 24/7 Sports, Buzzbeat podcast, Pack Bride everywhere. At @bgeis_bird, at @bgeisinger, right? On Blue Sky.
Yes, that's right. Blue Sky, baby.
Just at B. Yes. You're the man, my friend. I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, you guys have a nice day.
Peace.